very personally interesting to me as I did this interesting jump in about over a year ago. God, you see how fast time is going. I was up on Devens last year, I've been looking at it, and I just started, looking at the residential neighborhoods. And everybody thinks of Devens as the enterprise zone, and it's another big industry up there, and all this stuff, and I started going, look at these magnificent homes. Look at these beautifully composed streets. And myself as what we call a new urbanist planner, traditional neighborhood designer, this was done by very sophisticated urban planners. And I started looking at the homes and saying, this was done, it looks like to be in the late 20s to 30s, I just got more and more intrigued. I went out there one day and I just started walking the Auman Street neighborhood. I never even, it's sort of tucked there, Jack's up with it, everyone's very focused on the two-story brick ones on Walnut and others. And I went up there and I went, what is this fascinating little neighborhood up here? I walked in and I was like, oh, this is boy, I got to understand the history of this. I started doing some historic research. That's why I have my life. Right? And the more you get up, I went fast, and I thought, I'm going to do a walking tour of this neighborhood, which was probably over the top and crazy. I thought, what the heck? I went to walk the neighborhood. I put flyers on everyone's doors saying, I'm doing this. Who is this guy? What is he doing? Thinking, no one's going to come out for this, or be a couple of folks, or they'll probably call the cops and say this is suspicious character. Well, I went out there that morning. It was a Saturday morning. And my goodness, I think there were 40 people. It's important for this tour. I stood there going, wow. And it was like, who are you? Right? And we toured the neighborhood. It was one of the most interesting experiences I've had since I've been here for 7 years there. And I started meeting these folks. Well, these are some of the coolest people I've met in. Here and here, I often encounter folks and they'll say, Alan, people live up there on Devens. I'm like, I know. Who are these people, Alan? I'd say they're regular people just like us. They're not from another planet. They live up there though on Devens. And I'm like, yeah, why are they living up? Why? And I'm like, their neighborhoods are beautiful. Have you ever actually taken the time? And I said, for what? I said, they're very close to the neighborhoods too. I said, they're just regular, their neighborhoods. Okay. Who are they? Here they are. Who are these? I thought I'd put this panel together. Because the thing I'm intrigued with, the lines. And we were up on our bus tour. I showed them, on Auman Street on the other side. It's the fourth house down. The town line of Harvard and Ayer runs through that house, through the middle of that house. Not only is it the town line, the municipal line, but it's the county line that separates Middlesex County and Worcester County. And I'm just intrigued, as also as it runs through Vicksburg Square portions. But I went, wow, and actually one of those on Main Street as well. The line runs right through. And it just shows you the military back then. This was all abstraction. They never contemplated it. It's the base. We're going to build stuff wherever we do, whatever these lines are. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting? As we're doing this and talking about, we're going to take our airland back. Well, what about the people that live up there? What do they think about this? They need to be very involved with us. It's their neighborhood. I could go on and I won't stop, because I'll end up saying things I probably shouldn't have. Marissa, I'm sorry, I want to say your last name.
Rivera.
It is Rivera. It is Marissa Rivera, of course, that's it, right? Marissa, we love your mother, but go down there. All right, Little League Bookshop, Deb Rivera, that's her mother. This fascinating man, boy, I had the pleasure to meet. All right, John Cap. John lives on Main Street, retired military, ex-military. Watch out, paratrooper. Look out. Okay, base meeting John.
Michael.
And this is Michael.
Michael House, new resident of Devens.
And a new resident. What street do you reside on?
Bradley Circle.
Okay, you're on Bradley, right? So just set over right a little bit more.
I didn't know I was going to be sitting at this table.
Mike, we're all the same.
Surprised me. I might have dressed different or
Michael is the vice chairman of the Devens committee, which represents Devens residents in all facets, just recently.
Okay, Mike, now also.
Dana Barry, and I'm a resident on Auman Street.
Oh, that's right. And then also, we have
Heather Knowles.
Heather Knowles, yes?
I'm on Walnut.
And you're on Walnut Street, okay? So, I mean, you know, we're doing this symposium and all, and the whole point again is, we know how fast the last 10 years went by in all our lives, it seems, and the next now, 2033. What happens to these folks, your neighborhood, your home, all right? You know, 10 years from now. Are you, we're Ayer people or we're Harvard people? Or no, we're Devens people. And again, there are no, this is about we have a final solution. We have all the answers. We know what we don't know. But I know this, you folks love your neighborhood. You take great pride in it. I see how close it is. I mean, even to see I'm struggling for the question even do. What do you want to say about your neighborhood on ours?
Well, I'll say I come from a background in transportation planning and development, so I lived in Brighton and Boston for 7 years or so leading up to the pandemic. And in the early pandemic, I was looking for an opportunity to set up a medical workspace and to be a little bit closer to my family. I actually grew up in Devens on that road, and my grandmother had lived on the street for a decade and a half. And the opportunity was created for me to move into the home my grandmother had been living in on Auman Street. And weighing that opportunity, you know, was a little bit of an interesting question. I think, do I want to go back to the really small town I grew up in? That's not always something that every, person aspires to do. But looking at Devens with fresh eyes, I thought that it's a really, as Alan was saying, a really interestingly designed neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that incorporates a lot of elements of urban living. I really love that the Auman Street houses are close together. I know my neighbors, neighbors know my neighbors. I can walk to a cafe if I want to walk to a cafe to grab lunch. I bike to the train station when I have to commute to work. I walked here today. I really love that sense of living in a place that has some urban fabric to it. It has character to it. It has connectivity. It has a sense of community in a way that I think is unique in the more rural towns outside of sort of the inside stuff. So that's what I would say. I really love living here, and I feel like it's a really great compromise between a rural location and an urban location.
What's your take on your neighborhood, John?
So I was originally a resident of Ayer for about 10 years. I moved up to the New England area around 2000, purchased a house up on Pleasant Street, and my kids matriculated through elementary school at H. Hilltop. And then I actually coached their softball team for about 6 years here and there. So a lot of my roots are here and there. I purchased a home on Devens on Main Street, and have been there about 10 years. And to Marissa's point, and Michael will soon tell you, it's a very strong sense of community. We get along extremely well with our neighbors in Ayer and Harvard. My daughter matriculated through Bromfield School, so we have strong allegiance to both Ayer and to Harvard for what they've done for my family. And the connectivity is just tremendous. We are a very unique community. We are extremely diverse. I think, and Michael can talk to this point, at a meeting a few years ago, someone asked on a Zoom call, what's the makeup of Devens? Who are those people? Someone said, I don't know, working class, right? And if you were to come on to Devens today, take a walk around the neighborhood, you would be amazed at the diversity. Not only of culture, but of professions, of scientists, of working with people. It's just I would postulate that it is one of the most diverse communities in Congo. I think at this point it's probably not there. And when I speak to some of the executives that are building some of the big companies up there, whether it's Bristol Myers Squibb or Commonwealth Fusion, I say, why Devens? And they say access to talent and access to power, meaning electricity, water, and stuff. So it's, for me, on a personal standpoint, I'm the Devens resident, the DGFC, the Devens Jurisdiction Framework Committee. I'm the representative of the residents. Marissa is my alternate as well, and we're just very pleased that we were invited here today. Michael, I thought would be a fantastic addition to this panel because he represents that diversity of a different perspective. Give a couple of minutes to talk about why Devens. What's next?
Perfect segue.
Hi, everybody. I lived in Boston for 22 years, and my wife had an alarm on Zillow for properties that met certain things she was looking for, and one day a property never came up. And she's like, look at this, and I said, wow, it's pretty cool. Let's go look at it for a day with no intentions of leaving Boston. I loved our place. And we came and we saw the house on Chant Street in Devens, which was in this old house. It was amazing. And I was like, let's put an offer in. And the guy touring us said that somebody already put an offer and accepted it. Okay, so let's see the neighborhood. And so we took a tour and we heard their story. Like Marissa said, the houses are really close together, so it reminds you of living in Boston. Everybody from Boston thinks we have these acreages of land living in Devens. Oh, we have a really small footprint. Our houses are so close together, and our garage is not attached. But we know all of our neighbors. The bus comes, and the neighbors all drop the kids off, and then we walk around the neighborhood together. The bus comes, and the neighbors show up, and we see each other. Our house was delayed in construction. We had a time, we sold our place in Boston, and then we were supposed to kind of like move in, and it didn't work. So we had to rent from the owner, and then we had to move in with my parents for a moment, and we had to live in a hotel for 3 months. But we had to move into the hotel to do school. So we showed our PNS, and we had the invoice from the hotel, so the school, Harvard School, let us go there. And when we would meet the neighbors at the bus stop, and they heard our story, they started bringing us food at the hotel. 8 different times people brought us food in the hotel, and it just became a no-brainer. There's something special here. You know, everybody has a porch so that you can see your neighbors. All the garages are detached, so when you come out of the garage, you see your neighbors. There's a lot of sidewalks. Neil helped make sure that Neil and Peter make sure there's lots of sidewalks. There's sidewalks that people walk all over, so you see people. And I wrote a holiday card at the end of the year, and I sent it to all the neighbors that I was friends with, as many as I could. And I told them that Devens is magical, and that the neighbors in the community is like a fairy tale. And I mean that. I wasn't expecting. I didn't want to leave Boston, but happy spouse, happy house. My kid loves it. She can run around the street, and there's lots of kids she can ring the doorbells on. Hearing your doorbell ring is a lot different than in Boston when you don't. And it's special. He talked about the diversity. That's one of the things that I asked the realtor. Living in Boston, I lived in Dorchester for 16 years, in South Boston for 5 years. There was a lot of diversity, and I liked it. And I wanted to make sure that Devens had diversity in Devens. And so I feel real lucky. There are all different occupations. And, you know, it feels like we have a lot of Native Indian people. We have a lot of Turkish people. We have people from all over the states. It's a real blessing. And everybody wants to be there. Our developers have a vision. Mass development has a vision. And that's what's drawing everybody here, is their vision. It's a really great one. If you've ever heard of blue zones are like different parts of the country or the world where people live a really long time. Devens is set up to be like that. I don't think that was their intention, maybe it was. But it feels like you've got people Kurosawa. The little bookshop, little big bookshop. We love the little big bookshop. Anything out there. We're still learning everything. You know, it's still new for us. We just did our year mark. Yeah.
And do you think about what could happen within 10 years with the whole, potential? I mean,
Alan, first off, I went to the jurisdiction meeting that Ayer hosted.
yes.
And you pitched this idea for
Yes.
today and tomorrow, and I thought that was a big deal, and you pulled it off. So kudos to you. I was really impressed with your presentation. You did it. So nice work.
Thank you.
As far as the vision, I'm the new guy. I came for Devens. I didn't know. I don't think I knew that there was this 2033 date where there had to be a decision. So I'm learning. I'm learning about Shirley. I'm learning about Ayer. I'm learning about Harvard. I'm learning about mass development in Devens. I don't have a full feel yet. What's best next? Yeah.
To be TBD. Can we do it?
Yes, that's good.
Dan, could you say a few words more about where you're living and how long you've been there?
Just what you feel about the name.
Oh, sure. My husband and I love our neighborhood. We're on Auman Street, and we've been there since 2001. And every year we pretty much say the same thing, how we're so glad we bought this house. And the land, the space for walking, and to see all the changes, it has been pretty amazing. But I do love the walking and the area. It's such a wonderful place. And even like you mentioned, Alan, and you guys too, with Auman Street and other areas, the trees, I just loved the way things were designed. It seemed like a lot of care was taken when it was built and designed. It's hard to believe it would have been a design, and it does seem like it was. But I just love it there. I really do.
You've seen the changes. You've been there over 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just about, yep. So mostly new companies and then new neighborhoods, which is fun to watch also.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's just been a very, very good experience.
Would you like to just make any observations about
Sure.
it?
Yeah, so I didn't want to take over the seat up there because I'm not on the historical airport, but I also have been here since 2001,
Oh, wow.
or end of 2001, moved into 2002. I'm from Colorado, and we had those walkable neighborhoods there. And so when I moved here, my husband was like, oh, I want open space. It's like, well, it's all around you, but your neighbor's still right there, which is just fabulous. And my kids are older now, but I can literally just head out the door, hear which direction the screaming's coming from, and run in that direction to go play with kids. And that's what I grew up with, and I love that about Devens. I love the green space, open space, it's just extremely well planned. They're public works buildings. A lot of these the brick buildings were built as part of the public works, and they're built tanks. But the planning is an interesting point because really, like our engineers put some thought into this. Because I have a tree that shades my sunroom in the summer, and then in the winter, it's deciduous, drops, and then you get the sun in there and it warms up. I mean, it's really thought through these neighborhoods. And it really has created this wonderful sense of walkability and community. And the same thing with the neighbors. It's a small little town. If I don't know someone, it's odd. If someone did babysit my kids, that would be, it's wonderful to have those connections. And literally, my kids if my door's locked, go to the neighbor's house and just walk in. So I very much value that sense too.
Okay, are you ready for the provocative question? Right, let's. Do you think your life in your neighborhood and just that whole club would change if all of a sudden they said, oh, there's you're just, it's here, you're in Harvard here. And I know all this is very provocative. There's lots of stuff behind that. It just strikes me, folks are interesting. You're going to live a very interesting situation here. What's going to happen in the next 10 years? And maybe nothing will happen. You know, that's one of the scenarios that will come and say, no, this just continues on. But I just wonder if that thing right plays into your psyche. Or, no, we're just having our lives and get it.
I'll give it a shot. So I guess we have to look at it in two different ways. One, sense of community, right? I don't think that will change at all. I think neighbors will continue to be neighbors. I think friends will continue to be friends, and kids will continue to, be together. Now, the questions that do arise are more in your world, in the planning world, taxes, water.
What schools do your kids go to?
Those are the essentials of what we really need to tease out. And there are 4 alternatives. We don't know what they are. And we just don't know which one is best or possible. And so we as residents are now talking more and more about what does that look like? What does this look like? And so it's TBD, I think. But I do think that the sense of community won't change. To Mike's point, that he didn't even know that there was that 2033 deadline, and he's still here. He came here despite that. So I think it's an important issue to address. The most important thing is education. You have to educate the population about what the alternatives are, right? And have them make their own decision. We serve on committees, and our mission statements, we're not going to tell the residents of Devens what to think about issues. What we want to do is educate the residents of Devens about what issues they need to start thinking about. And find that information, not on social media, right? Go to the Constitution, go to the Regions Plan, go to 498, right? So Alan, that's a long answer to your question.
Because it's not easy. There is not easy.
The key is to back off social media.
Yes.
And go right to the source material and say this is possibly what can happen. And then try to determine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think well said. I think, something all of us who live in Devens expressed definitely is our attachment to the sense of a cohesive community in Devens. So I think any solution would be to preserve that sense of community. And to John's point, level of service, our sidewalks are plowed right after storms. We can get out, we can get into the streets and use the infrastructure. Would want to see that continue to be the case, of course, if there any future solution. And then I think the last thing that comes to mind for me specifically, I live in a one-car household, so I share my car with my partner. And we both work hybrid schedules. I take the commuter rail. Usually it's doable. Transportation connectivity is between Devens and the other towns is varied. So I think Ayer is the easiest town right now for me to get into consistently without using a personal vehicle if I don't have one available. Harvard is definitely the most challenging town for me to access. That's where my dentist is. It's very tough for me to get there if I can't get a car. I at least get there safely with one piece. And then Shirley, of course, is a compromise between those two. So I think thinking about a sense of mobility between all of these participating towns and Devens is important.
Your thoughts on 2033 or recently start things already?
Good, please. I'm exhausted.
This what comes to mind first is I'm scared. Yeah.
Did you say you're scared? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so thankful to stay updated on these different issues. So I'm very glad that that's communication is still there. But it's something, it's a concern. It's just a concern. I guess for giving detail, I'm not real sure what to say, other than I'm worried.
Because it's an unknown to you. It really is.
Correct.
It's for all of us, right? Right.
And especially with the different hearsay
Yes.
from different angles, and it's like, wow, who has a chance?
Yeah.
Are we already decided, but no one's saying so? what's going on. So
So you
it's,
think maybe our fate is already sealed and we don't even know, but someone else already has decided.
I'm afraid that thought enters my mind, yes.
Well, I'll say this to you on behalf of the town of Ayer. And this is the incarnate, as we go forward as a municipality in town, we're going to work together with you folks. And that's what, thank you for saying, like, we haven't conceived doing this, but a lot of it came from my experiences with you folks in that neighborhood. And realizing this is going to, all of us, whether we like it or not, we're all going to get 10 years older. Over the next 10 years. Kids are going to grow up. It's all going to happen. But we have to kind of almost pledge to each other, commit to each other. We're going to do it together. We're going to openly exchange all information. And we're going to take this step by step incrementally. And I want to make sure we're going to do this with your neighbor. I want to spend, I know myself, and a great deal of time. You'll get sick of it in your neighborhood eventually. But this is what, it's the only way this can happen. It has to be, we got to earn that trust. And because we need your perspective in deciding what is it. And even the process itself. What is the process of, formulating that plan and to decide what are the aspirations of it. I think it adds just so much to the dynamic. Each time we say, well, we're just going to do our own thing, and those folks will make their own decisions. But we're going to constantly outreach and just do this together. And we're going to build a relationship with you all. So we all know each other, and we can talk very forthrightly with each other, very straight, and not all the posturing and we're just going to be very open. And I can already feel the vibe. I know I feel I've developed that relationship with John from time and Marissa, so it could be a good process. And we find out what destiny holds for us all with this. But we go together. We travel together. So I'll make that pledge to you on behalf of the town of Ayer. I'm always going to be right there with you folks. See where it takes us all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that dramatic kind of I'm getting tired. Yes, I'm getting tired. Folks out in the audience, observations, comments for these fine folks?
I have a, excuse me, I'm still a little hoarse. I have a question. I lived in Devens for almost over 6 years, 2004 to the beginning of 2011. And at that time, the dream of most of our neighbors, and we thought it could happen, was to become our own town. And now the Symposium is exploring all different angles, and it's not as easy as it once seemed, but neither is it easy to go back to a town. You still have Devens utilities and everything, but I'm just wondering what the atmosphere is after all these years. Do people have that burning desire to be their own town still? Or is it kind of gotten a little less so?
There's some fun, provocative stuff.
What was that?
I said, there's some fun, provocative.
No, it's a good question. And so we regularly hold Zoom meetings with the residents to kind of get the pulse on what's going on. So you have, talking about diversity, you have families like yourself that were almost the pioneers of Devens, right? We had this plan to become a town. And there was a certain level of frustration that didn't happen, couldn't happen. And so there's still a significant number of people that are interested in Devens becoming a town, but are a little disgruntled that it didn't happen for whatever reason. I wasn't there at the time, but there's that component. And then you have other newer residents like Michael that are still trying to figure it out. So I think that the Devens residents are still waiting for alternatives, right? And so I think for sure there are some people that Devens become a town. I mean, I don't know. It's an option. It's one of 4 options that are possible. You're all familiar with the options, the 4 options. 1 Devens becomes a town, the version of town boundaries, a hybrid, or everything stays the same. Right. And in order to assess what is best for the residents and the businesses, remember, a couple stakeholders here. You have the businesses, and then you have the residents. So everybody has to understand the pros and cons. So,
There it is. And I'll tell you, we have a hard stop. Well, John has something. Like we are at 3:45.
they can stay, but I can't. I do have to go.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yes. Very good. Frank, yes?
Without any understanding a lot of the detail of what I've heard, I'm keen on Alan's word, together. No matter what we decide to do, we will do a lot more effectively if we do it together.
Or else we'll drive each other crazy at the end anyway, so might as well do it together.
I do have to excuse myself. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, John. And you know what? If everyone's good, if you guys are good, like this was a very meaningful paneling. This was the whole vibe. I think, is everybody good?
Yeah.
Is everybody? This was a wonderful day, an important day for our community. I want to thank all of you. Everyone's out. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go. Yes, please.
Well, I was just wondering, before we tie it up.
Yes, please.
How's our future? What's next?
Yes. Well, just in terms of the symposium now, tomorrow, all this, which looks like a wedding reception space right now, converts into a studio space. We'll be bringing out the big GIS maps tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m., laying on all these tables with big trace paper. And I bring out Alan's magic box of markers and colored pencils and everything you can imagine. I've used for 40 years. And we're going to lay this stuff out. The riverfront, the Auman and Bay Street neighborhood, Vicksburg Square, the airfield. And we're going to do long range. We get involved to be long range planners and start saying, well, if I had it my way, here's how I might do with the airfield. So we're going to do the whole just design. Because everyone took all this in today. Everyone's wheels and minds are turning now. And it's cool if you can say, can I throw this out what I'm thinking in my mind now? Right, we'll do that. We'll do that tomorrow. Ultimately, what is going to come out of this is we are seeking expressions of interest from our residents in Ayer. We are seeking to formulate and establish the Ayer Devens 2033 committee. This is going to be the permanent committee now. It's going to go forward and do the deep analysis, study more events like this to go forward with ultimately producing our plan, the town of Ayer. And by the way, people say to me, I'm going to serve on a committee, Alan, for 10 years? You know, I might have, no. Folks will start a few years and it'll rotate through time. So this is really the launch of getting, and we would hope to have a committee of about 9 individuals, good diverse. And I'm hoping that would include some folks from Auman Street, Main Street, in the historic era. And we have to launch that, and they have to start doing their work now. But we're going to have now a series. I'll tell you just right after this was so cool that I already know. I already have, my mind's already turning. Events I'm going to now do through the spring and summer. And we're going to ultimately produce our plan in Ayer. Because that's ultimately what the legislation states, that on or before July 1st, 2033, towns, shall submit a report. This is what it says. It actually doesn't say, it's all going back. It's like you're going to submit a report. Decide and make a determination. It's almost like together. Thank you, Neil. Together. So this is right, where this goes. It's going to be a process. No one knows the answer right now, but we got to formulate the structure and the schedule. And take it really serious. Like I said, 10 years is going to go now.
Heather.
I'm sorry, Heather, yes. Yes.
So, as you mentioned, the legislation doesn't actually technically include the Devens residents because there weren't any residents.
Quite right.
But the framework jurisdiction committee, which was, as you said, developed to come up with a process for it. It does currently involve some, two businesses and one resident, John.
The 6 stakeholders.
Yes.
6.
Do you see that going, and obviously, as required, the individual stakeholders have to make their own limits too. So obviously, what you're doing needs to go forward. Do you see that framework committee going forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we're going to work in it. I'm on that committee. I'm a member of it.
Okay.
Janice Livingston right now was the chair of our select board. Robert Pontrion, our town manager. Absolutely. We are all committed to that. The committee is to go forward. That is really the superstructure that we've all agreed to. Once again, say, yes, we're going to work together under that framework. So what we do here has to be literally fed into that committee to get their take on it. And this is going to be the process. And we're going to build that great trust and that dynamic together and, go forward.
We're talking about going forward together, having a place where we're all together.
Yes,
That's the
that's
best way
right.
to do that.
That's right. And the Devens Jurisdictional Framework Committee is that guiding entity, which is great. It's a great structure.
Yes.
And, very proud. Look, hey, we have to keep up with our partners at Harvard. I know that, right, Paul? You folks have established your committee. I watch it online, on cable. When you folks, and it's really impressive. You're already going forward, doing financial analysis and all. And so here, let's get ours together and going. And of course, we'll help our friends in Shirley as well to get going. And as Neil said, together, we do what we need to do over the next 10 years. And then we'll see who the governor is, who the legislature is, and what they all decide to do at that point, which could be a whole lot. Hey. Paul, yes.
I'm Paul Green. I didn't intend to speak, but I'm on the Harvard Devens jurisdiction committee. I'm absolutely delighted to see Ayer getting engaged in this. I encourage everybody here as an Ayer resident to participate in this process. Get your neighbors and friends and children if you're
right on.
age.
Thank you, especially.
The more the merrier. I will add 2 points to what Neil said earlier. Under the current provisions that the Devens Framework Committee, the overarching committee, has agreed to, this will be a unanimous report.
Yes.
I helped draft that section. So it's not voted, it won't be 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6. Currently, the rule is all the stakeholders must agree. I think that's very powerful. That protects the interest of every single stakeholder. And I would just ask that over the next 10 years, Ayer join Harvard and actually Shirley, making sure we keep that unanimity requirement. And I've already forgotten the second point. But no, it's good to see this in operation. Thank you.
It happens. It took, we wanted to put it together nicely. And when we do stuff in there, we do it. We don't, come on, we've got to do it. So, but anyway. I didn't know exactly when I got up this morning, and I got here at 5 a.m. this morning in the building, and I was sitting here in the dark in this hall going, is anything going to happen today, Alan, or is this just all? Nice try, Alan, nice shot. I was blown away to what happened here. You all made it, and the pit so we're in the groove now, okay? So it's very exciting. It demonstrated that folks absolutely want to be directly involved in this process. And that's why we know the process is going to result in an excellent end product. More folks have diversity of it, it's only going to strengthen our end product. So this is great. We have a rendezvous with destiny, right? And this is we got it together. This is going to be a joyful thing. So I want to thank. I'm going gaga. I am. I want to thank all of you, everyone here today. I literally thought you were doing this. Like, how many people will really hate? Look at this. This is great. So I want to thank all of you. If you can, if you're able to, hey, pop in tomorrow. We'll be here for a few hours. You can just pop in for a bit and say, hey, I'm going to just draw that. I'm out of here. We'll see you. We'll have nice food. Of course, we always do good food, whatever we do. So come jump in for the design show. It starts at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here.
And there's no presentations at all?
No.
Well,
Enough
right.
for present.
Just wanted to
Hey,
make
hey,
sure.
I
woke up.
No, it's really about getting in and hey, let's just have some fun design work. It'll be cool. And then we'll just do a quick little takeaway tomorrow at the end of the afternoon. Then we'll be prepared for all the expressions of interest we know now. We're going to be buried. It'll be an avalanche and we all want to be involved. So.
Oh, so you're saying at the end you're going to have remarks?
Yes, that's right. We'll do. That's right. For whoever's still with us hanging in, But the good part, I want to thank APAC. There's Trevor Stillman with APAC, the new executive, our new executive director of our local cable, and they documented the whole thing all day. So guys, everyone, come on, get public access is cool. Get ready. Yes, but you can't sit back home and watch the whole thing and process it, and please, never stop asking questions. That's what I get worried with people saying, nah, no good. It's like, oh, come on. So, bravo to everybody. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. And we'll be good. So, thank all of you. Ayer plus Devens has a bright future. Thank you.